Via negativa approach of God's existence is a method that is used to negate the existence of God so that we can be able to prove indeed God exists. And via negativa is the denial of what attributes that people give to God, that God is perfect, God is perfect, God is wise, God is good, God is he is infinite, or this approach and these attributes that people talk about God. But in this method we try to deny that God is not perfect, God is not wise, God is not good, as he says. People say God is not merciful, and probably we can say also God does not care. Whichever attribute that you want, you can also contrary, or you can say contrary against this. You can go contrary towards it. So any approach you want to say, to make it, or any attribute that you want to give to God, you negate it, that indeed it doesn't exist. And this is a philosophical approach of via negativa, the negative way, the negative approach. When we approach this method, or when we use this method of God does not exist, or the existence of God is limited, we use it as a method to prove God's existence. That we are using a negative way to prove indeed God exists. So, what do we say? What do we say? That we are using our minds and reason, we are using our thinking, our approach, our finite mind to discover the infinite. This is a person who has got limited power trying to discover a powerful being. A powerful being in this sense is God, and the limited power is us trying to use our small minds to discover the mystery of God. And the strength about this is it avoids to put God on the sense of anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism is where we make God a human being in the sense that we are using him, or we are using God to showcase like he is a person. He has got feelings, he has got mind, he cries, he experiences sexual desires, and this also tries to negate that. The strength about this approach is that it respects the mystery, because we come to discover that our minds are limited. Our minds do not answer everything, and also our minds in approaching God, we know that they come to a point where they cannot answer everything, and therefore it remains like it is a mystery. We acknowledge our limitedness in this approach, that we are not perfect, or we are not indeed perfect in this approach, that God indeed exists, that there is more power in this, there is more power in God, but for us, we are powerless, or we have limited powers. This philosophical argument has been used by so many people like Thomas Aquinas, René Descartes. Thomas Aquinas in the approach of God's existence, the five proof that God exists. These are the cosmological argument, the cosmic way, that there is a mover who is the first mover who is not moved. This is some argument about motion, argument to do with the pattern of life, and that there is the first cause, and then there are other to be caused. So he approached it in the causality way. So in this approach of via negativa, we come to discover that indeed God exist. And indeed, if he exists, then he is more powerful than us, because for us, we are limited as human beings, and we cannot approach God with our own mind. There is a bigger power than us, the finite trying to discover more about the infinite. So we find that there is that discord. Everything that we try to discover through our own minds, it gets challenged. It comes to a point where we cannot argue anymore, or we are just revolving around circles. And in these circles, we create confusion until we approach it in the proper way and say that indeed God exists. So, via negativa is an approach that we can use to discover God's existence. It is actually a proof of God's existence through the negative way, through the denial of his attributes, and then we can approach it and say that indeed there is a infinite being who is more powerful than us.